This course, Elevating Hosting and Service Standards in Nordic Tourism, focuses on how hosting and service practices shape visitor experiences within a Nordic tourism context. The course is grounded in experience theory and addresses the distinctive values that characterize Nordic hospitality, including trust, simplicity, quality, and respect for natural and cultural environments. Today, this course seeks to answer two clearly defined learning objectives. First, the course explains how Nordic hospitality values, particularly trust, simplicity, and quality, contribute to memorable visitor experiences and influence how guests perceive service and hosting in Nordic tourism. Second, the course identifies practical methods and provides insight into patterns of tourism that can be used to enhance service quality, while ensuring that development aligns with sustainability principles. These learning objectives provide a clear framework for the theoretical perspectives and applied examples presented throughout the course. To begin with, it is necessary to clarify what is meant by experiences within the context of tourism. In tourism, experiences emerge through a visitor's active participation and presence in an event or activity of a memorable nature. The emotions elicited during an experience can be understood as the driving force of this mental and interpretive process. It is therefore important to acknowledge that tourism experiences originate from a wide range of activities and contexts. Experience theory within tourism encompasses diverse domains such as travel, hospitality services, food and beverage experiences, cultural attractions, design, and performing arts. These domains illustrate how tourism experiences extend beyond transportation and accommodation and instead represent holistic, meaning-making encounters. Central to tourism experience theory is the role of the guest. What constitutes an experience varies from one visitor to another, as perceptions, expectations, and interpretations differ across individuals and cultures. The guest represents the core user and co-creator of tourism services and experiences. Without the guest, there is no tourism product in experiential terms. For example, a restaurant only becomes an experiential tourism product when a guest dines there. In the absence of guests, the restaurant consists solely of ingredients, staff, and physical facilities. This relationship is referred to as co-production, meaning that the guest actively participates in the creation of value and becomes an integral part of the tourism product itself. Co-production is therefore a defining characteristic of tourism experiences and a key consideration in experience design. Several variables influence whether a tourism experience is perceived as positive. High-quality food, professional service, and an attractive physical environment alone do not guarantee a satisfying experience. Social factors, including interactions with other guests, may significantly influence perceived quality. For example, disruptive or inappropriate behavior by fellow visitors may negatively affect the overall experience. For tourism professionals, understanding and managing these contextual and social dimensions is therefore essential when designing and delivering high-quality tourism experiences. Given the central role of the guest in tourism experiences, the experience pyramid developed by Sanna Tarsanen and Mika Kailanen at the Lapland Center of Expertise in Finland provides a useful analytical framework. The model identifies 6 experiential attributes: individuality, authenticity, story, multisensory character, contrast, and interaction, which together contribute to perceived experience quality. Each attribute can be understood as a continuum ranging from weak to strong or from negative to positive. Guest satisfaction can thus be assessed across these dimensions, allowing tourism practitioners to evaluate overall experience quality and identify strengths and weaknesses in experience design. The experience pyramid therefore functions as a practical tool for the systematic analysis and development of tourism experiences. Authenticity constitutes the first experiential attribute and is particularly significant in tourism. Visitors commonly seek experiences they perceive as genuine and credible. Even when tourism providers aim to preserve traditions and design experiences that reflect local culture, minor inconsistencies may undermine guests' perceptions. Authenticity is closely linked to trust, which is difficult and time-consuming to establish, particularly for small or emerging tourism enterprises. Moreover, authenticity is inherently subjective, as it depends on the guest's personal interpretation based on sensory impressions, prior knowledge, and expectations. Increased guest involvement and transparency may therefore strengthen perceptions of authenticity. Individuality represents the second attribute and reflects growing expectations for personalization within tourism. Contemporary visitors increasingly value experiences that acknowledge their interests, motivations, and preferences. Tourism providers who succeed in offering adaptive and personalized experiences create substantial added value. This involves finding an appropriate balance between standardization and customization, designing experiences that are distinctive to the destination, flexible in delivery, and varied in content. Story constitutes the third experiential attribute and plays a central role in tourism experience design. Storytelling extends beyond verbal communication and written interpretation. It provides a meaningful framework within which tourism experiences are produced and consumed. Narratives may be embedded in the physical environment, activities, and products themselves, creating coherence between place, practice, and meaning. Storytelling therefore functions as a strategic instrument for value creation and destination differentiation. Contrast is the fourth attribute and relates to tourists' desire to experience something different from their everyday lives. Tourism motivations are often driven by the search for novelty and difference. However, if an experience becomes too detached from the visitor's frame of reference, it may lose its meaning. Effective tourism experience design therefore requires balancing contrast with familiarity. The fifth attribute, multisensory character, highlights the importance of sensory engagement in tourism experiences. Experiences are often enhanced when multiple senses are stimulated, although strong impressions may also arise from the dominance of a single sense. Tourism providers should therefore consider how sensory elements can be intentionally designed to support immersion and memorability. Interaction constitutes the sixth attribute and emphasizes active guest participation. Interaction may occur through brief encounters between hosts and guests or through more extensive participatory activities. Such interaction reinforces co-production and strengthens emotional engagement and perceived value. As the six experiential attributes do not correspond directly to explicit customer needs, traditional surveys and standardized questionnaires may provide limited insight into perceived experience quality. Supplementary methods such as in-depth interviews and tailored guest conversations are therefore recommended, particularly in experience development contexts. Finally, it is important to distinguish between primary and secondary experience enterprises in tourism. Primary experience enterprises are those for which the creation of experiences is the main objective, whereas secondary enterprises use experiences to add value to other goods or services. Such experience-based strategies increasingly support sales, marketing, destination branding, and organizational development. As a practical illustration, the small, family-owned tourism enterprise Fjord and Isle, located in a fjord community in western Norway, demonstrates how experience theory can be operationalized in tourism practice. The company offers food and nature-based tourism experiences aimed at an international market and works systematically with experience design, positioning the guest as an active co-producer. By deliberately applying the six attributes of the experience pyramid, Fjord and Isle creates coherent and meaningful tourism experiences that combine strong local embeddedness with global relevance. Authenticity is supported through local ingredients, traditional preparation methods, and hosts with personal ties to place, while individuality is addressed through pre-arrival dialogue and adaptive experience design. Storytelling is used as a structured, step-by-step instrument for value creation, anchoring experiences in place-based narratives and Nordic cultural heritage with global resonance. Contrast, multisensory engagement, and interaction are integrated through nature-based settings, sensory-rich activities, and participatory practices. In conclusion, this course has explicitly addressed the learning objectives guiding elevating hosting and service standards in Nordic tourism. First, it has explained how Nordic hospitality values, trust, simplicity, quality, and authenticity, form the foundation of memorable visitor experiences, particularly when the guest is understood as an active co-producer of value. Second, it has identified practical methods and highlighted key patterns in tourism that can be used to enhance service and hosting standards, including the use of storytelling, guest involvement, and systematic experience analysis, while maintaining a strong commitment to sustainability principles. By integrating experience theory with applied examples from a Nordic tourism context, the course equips learners with both conceptual understanding and practical insight. Learners are thus prepared to explain the role of Nordic hospitality values in tourism experiences and to identify realistic, responsible approaches to improving service quality in their own tourism practices.